I have been asked to refurbish this Patrick Green electric drum carter because the drum cloth is really worn with hundreds of missing teeth. And I've already started on it. I've removed part of one of these, and this bar also lives here. So I've done a few tiny little things. And I was remembering that it was really hard to find a video on YouTube of someone who's actually replaced all of these cloths. So I'm going to do it. I'm already finding a little bit of a problem. I'm going to have to do some modification. This main drum comes with 4 pieces, but the card I'm putting back on is 1 piece, too large. I have to cut it. No biggie. Another issue is that let's see, yeah, if you can see the gray here versus the tan here, it's half the thickness. So that, to me, tells me that the distance between here and here is shorter. That's not a real big problem. And this one is actually spiraled. This is a single piece that is spiraled around. If you might be able to see the lines going by here. The problem, if you take a look here, you can see huge numbers of missing teeth on here. You know, some of it seems okay, but everywhere you go, there's missing teeth. And one other thing, we started with some really well milled yarn, and so I put it through here, a little piece through here again, and it should have come out perfect, but this is it. And if you look, you can see that it's nowhere near perfect. This took perfect fiber and turned it into this. So I have to modify this. I got to turn this into a single cloth instead of a spiral. Again, you can see the spiral going down. And this, I'm sure, they gave me a piece too long. That's got to be cut. It's also too wide. I've got to pull out all the teeth and cut it. And there was some glue on here, which is actually a perfect imprint. The reason I know it's glue, it's a perfect imprint of the back of this. Even though there's no glue on here, I can see it's hard. And the other thing is this band, which lives here. If you take it off, there's some glue here. There's some blue glue. So I can tell this was glued down. The research I've been able to find online is they don't want the new thinner stuff glued down because they need it to be flexible. These are very, very, very stiff. The newer cloth is finer and can move a lot easier. Like if I just were to move some of this and then move some of this in here, this moves a lot better than this. So they only want this thing attached at the edges, but not in the center. If I may offer a bit of advice, wear gloves, because I'm sure I'm going to slide here and get little pokes. There are, looks like regular Arrow T50 staples across here. And I just go under it and dig them up. Oh yeah, one other bit of advice. This is just a magnet with some of the other staples I've already removed. So I'll just stick this down on the side. Let's see where. There, just so you can see what I'm doing. have this to take off. This Patrick Green drum carter is made really, really well. I don't know if you could buy one that's made this well anymore. So, okay, so now I've got to figure out a way to lightly sand this drum, because I don't want it to be any bigger than it needs to be, and a light sanding will take down all the high marks that would cause some inaccuracies. Before I sand this part, I'm going to take the cloth off of this part. And let's see what it's going to take. Well, it looks like it's held down with brads. And again, this looks glued. And some areas of this are really bent. So then I need to pull up these brads, then find a way to sand both of these. I think that's going to be pretty easy. These brads here, I think I found a good way to take them out. This is simply so that I don't damage the roller or the liquor in. That's one. Yeah, I brought the camera down a little bit closer for this thrill-packed episode. Now, what you need to know is this is a very used belt. Doesn't have much of a grit on it at all, and I am barely going to touch it. Let's see which way this goes. That goes that way. That goes that way. That goes the opposite way. Good. So what I'm going to do is just very lightly touch it here and go across while this is spinning, and hopefully I will get the strings out and any high parts. And I'm not going to go through this old glue. I mean, if it starts to become a little translucent, that's perfect, but I'm not going to take it all off. It's might as well just stay there. All right, it started to wear through a little bit there. That's fine. Maybe needs a little bit more on this side to be equal, but I didn't take it all the way down. I don't want to take it all the way down. That's probably a high spot on the drum. So just a little bit more. I don't feel anything here. Yeah, a little bit more on here to here I need to do. Just over here. And again, I'm holding most of the weight up. All right, let's see how this feels. Okay, I feel a little bit of this going by, but that's fine. Some of it's something's dug out in here. That's what I'm feeling. Okay, so I like that one. So I don't feel I've damaged this, but I have a hand sanding block that I'm going to use now. Yeah, that's smooth all the way out to the end. Yeah, it's still pretty good. Take a slight bit here, a slight bit here, just to radius the edge a little bit. Yeah, I don't want to catch on any wall or anything. And maybe the same thing here. Just to get the dust off. It is time for a first fitting of the drum cloth. There's a little piece of plastic here we cut off. That's pretty as far as drum cloths go. And this, I've got to make this fit onto this. And then I have to take a bunch of staples out here so that I can put the, let's see, where's that bracket? Well, I got to put a bracket that meets these two pieces together. And maybe something along the edge to keep it from moving. I'm going to align this side with the end. I'm gonna make the edge a little proud so you can just about see it. And the other side, it's gonna be the same thing. And I'm starting the first row roughly where these two bits of wood mate. And I'm gonna do the same thing over here. So I have to pull out a whole row of staples, wires, let's say. And I know this is a little off, I'll deal with that. So this is, I'll be darned if I'm going to pull every one of these out all the way down, you know, as far as this guy can see. So I'm pulling it out on this line, I'm going to make it a little bit wide, and then I'm going to cut it on this line, and I'm just not going to bother taking out these. So I'm going to make a sort of like a little strip of no staples all the way down here. Then I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to apply it. So now I'm going to show you how I get the unneeded staples out. So this is just some silly little pick. I got at Harbor Freight. The tines are facing underneath towards me. Tines are facing towards me. So I'm going to pull these out also towards me from this side. There we are. Put them on my magnet and go to grab another one. Now these are of no significance, but now these ones here are the actual edge of the cloth, so I have to be very careful. So I'm taking this one, and I want to leave the line. And I'm going to take this one. I can take this whole row of 3 or 4 out. Leave the line and take the next 4. Here's how I stay on the same course. My tip is touching those two staples, and those two staples. So I just dig in here. And that's how I did it. Start over here. Well, it's time to take the drum out. And we have a drum in our hand. And here I have which way the bend in the fabric goes. I didn't want to screw anything up. This is my cut line. This stuff over here goes away. This is the side I'm keeping over here. But how do I maintain this line when I really don't have much reference in here? What I ended up doing is I cut this little square out because it's waste over here. This is my good edge. And over here is my good edge. So I'm just going to put the two good edges together. And mark that cut. And I put these two good edges together again. And I mark that cut. So now I'll take a straight edge and join those lines. And there's my cut line. I want to try this with a razor. Okay, I just got a fresh blade in here. Let's see how this works. So far, so good. Oh yeah, nice. Don't know why I wasted my time doing it the other way, but you live and learn. It was so much easier with this. Why didn't I do this before? Well, it looks like I need to take, on this side, 2 more rows out and then cut it down just a bit. Okay, another fitting. I'm pulling up with tension on where both of my thumbs are. And I'm pulling up in the center here and then spreading out as much as I can. So we can see it is ever so slightly too big. And we also have to remember that this piece of metal will eventually join up these two. So what I'm thinking of doing is putting them together and simply drawing. Okay, let's try fitting it on. So I've got one in the center here. That's going to allow me to pull and make these even. Okay, it's looking good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a hammer. I'm going to make sure those are all down. Forgive me, you tool guys. This thing is a wasted chisel.
Here's the rule.
So those are all very well seated. Oh, and let me double check. This says that they all, you see that they all tend to go that way, and if I look up top, that agrees. Well, let's see. I have to push it down. What I'm using is one hammer on another hammer. Not liking it. That's working better. Much better. Okay, well, I've decided to staple around this perimeter, and I took each staple and I hammered it down a little bit better. I have it in its mounting blocks. It's obviously very loose right now, but if you give it a spin, it's nice and smooth, and there's no gaps, and nothing sticking up. And this piece is in nice. So that part's a success. On to the liquor in. Okay, here's a good factory edge. I'm going to stay with this one. I'll use as many factory edges as possible. Since this one is smaller, I'll probably save this edge and these two edges, and I'll cut away up here and across here. But it's going to be the same as I did on the main one, and I'll jump in for a few highlights. One thing that I did forget to mention is this is what came off of the Liquorin, and this is what's going on it. Found a shorter ruler, bringing it up to there. Still the same sharp blade. And since this is the side I want to keep, and this is the waste side, I put the ruler on the side I want to keep. So if I make a mistake, it's not going to let me go this way, but I can go this way without any problems. Okay, I finished the cut. Check my measurement. That just works. That just works. Very good. Next. Okay, now I'm ready. I am on the bottom. I am setting the edge so that it just touches, so that it's even with this edge on the bottom. Then if that's even, and I pull this over, and these edges are now even, I know that I have this on not cocked, it's straight. So at this point I'm going to well, we're back at it. I drew my cut line. Now we need to make the space a little bit on either side. All right, let's see if I did it or screwed it up. All right, that'll work because I am bridging this with a piece of steel. Just for a review, we've converted this to a one-piece where the previous one was wrapped around and around and around. diagonal on a nice machine. I mean, they did it really, really well, whoever did this. And this is some seriously good cloth. Very short length on that staple, though. These go up and then turn, where the other ones just came straight out. Interesting. So what I'm doing here is I am marking where I'm going to be drilling the holes. I'm going to put a little radius on this edge. Pardon the noise. Okay, time for one last check. My little hand drawing on a silly little piece of tape says it goes up and to the right, and if I look here, they go up and to the right. So I know I have this mounted correctly. This piece of metal here was that straight piece a minute ago. I bent it to shape, drilled 5 holes, used a belt sander to radius the outside edge and to get anything sharp off it. Next, I'm going to try to get this thing on here to stay. I guess I did figure it out just right. It's nice and tight.
It's closer to the center of the screen.
This thing is really close to being done. This thing is so floppy, and I really like how the other one's sitting nice and low, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stick 3 of them in here.
Just small little indents. Okay, got a new one. Let's see if this one's better.
Okay, I got the screws in. I'm just going to make sure all the tines are as aligned perfectly as possible, and I'm going to put this back together, clean up all of the axles, lubricate everything, and set the distance between the Lickerin and the main piece. Here is something I didn't anticipate. The distance between the back of the cloth and the top of the tine is actually longer than the old ones. What that does is it makes the tines hit the input chute. So what I have to do is I have to build this up with washers, and we'll see how that translates into over here. It shouldn't do anything bad, but now when we're setting the distance between these 2 drums, we have a couple competing needs. One, that this drum has to be this way. These pieces here have to be sort of relaxed so that if they're pushed in a real hard way, they're going to stop the drums from spinning well. And let's see if I can. Yeah, so anyway, these have to be free to move a little bit here, a little bit here, and then we have to sort of sneak up on the distance between here and here. That's a little tight. Actually, that's not bad. All right. So I need to tighten up these 2 to bring the drum this way. Just a little bit. Just barely touching. Okay, let's see. Ever so slight touch, I'm not worried about. One little Needle touch, not even going to worry about it. This is a little snugger on this end than it is on that end. So let me tighten this up a little bit. Let me tighten this up over here. So I'm going to pull this end this way, this end this way. That's feeling good. That's sounding good. Now we have to make sure these are not bound. Does that roll nice? Does that roll nice? Okay, so let's try tightening some of these down. All right. All right, I got like one needle touching, and again, I'm not going to worry about that at all. That's beautiful. So I'm snugging up on these on both ends. Let me find my wrench. Okay, so tighten a little here, tighten a little there. Tighten a little here, tighten a little there. Test it out. Nope. Okay. Tighten a little here, tighten a little here, and test. And test. So what we have here is no pulleys on, no belts on. That spins free. That spins free. And if they both push them both in the same direction, there's no collisions. No collisions. I'm pushing the drum this way, no collisions. Pushing the drum this way, no collisions. Push this way, push this way. We have, these are now set correctly. Now I'm going to put the pulleys on. And see, that's all tight. I'll make sure everything's tight. Oh, I collect all sorts of weird tools. This is nothing more than a hex driver. It's for something like this. In fact, it does fit there. But if you drill these, if you cut these little slots in it, you can then use it for this. Tight, 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 tight. Now this is a tool I just happen to already own. It didn't come with, or does it go with the drum carter, but it's a nice little tool. Okay, that's the last thing I'm going to do. So obviously putting yours back together is going to be different from me putting mine back together. But this is, that's Patrick Green's brand. He actually burned that into the wood, so it's an official brand. So let's turn it on. So we've got, let's start on the other side. This is the motor, spinning at full speed. I'll take that tape off eventually. And then this spinning again at full speed. That gets the drum going at high speeds. So then this is the other side of the drum. This pulley right here. This sends power to this gear reduction. It comes back, goes up, around, and back again. Then this reduces the speed yet even farther for the Liquorin. So the Liquorin spinning at this speed, and you can see the ratio between the Liquorin and the main drum. We purposely set it nice and low. I've already run a little bit of fleece through it, but it was already milled fleece. We're going to try some really coarse stuff later. But this is it. And just a side note, this particular machine, you can take this off, have this motor drive this, and the Liquorin will run faster. But it doesn't give you as fine of a bat when you're done. So we put like 90 some odd teeth per inch cloth on it, so we decided to go with a slower speed. So this is the working machine. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope this helps.